won't believe what was hidden behind the smile of television's loudest man. While millions laughed with George Jefferson, few knew what Sherman Hemsley faced away from the cameras. For 11 years, he made us roar with laughter through his sharp comebacks and arrogant swagger. But when the lights dimmed and the set emptied, the truth was devastating. On TV, George Jefferson was impossible to ignore. Flashy suits, booming voice, always at the center of attention. He had moved on up and made sure everyone knew it. In real life, Sherman Hemsley was the exact opposite. So quiet that his own castmates confessed they never truly got to know him. He built invisible walls around his soul. While George Jefferson shouted to the world, Sherman Hemsley whispered only to himself. The contrast was so brutal, it was disturbing. Philadelphia, 1938, Sherman Alexander Hemsley was born into a world that wasn't ready to receive him. Childhood wasn't kind, school dropout, survival necessity. The Air Force became his only escape, away from the streets, away from the poverty that gnawed at his youth. Then came the postal job, endless days sorting mail, carrying other people's dreams in his hands while his own seemed impossible. But when night fell, something magical happened. Sherman transformed. Small local theaters, acting groups. The Negro Ensemble Company became his refuge, a place where black men could dream without asking permission. It was there he learned to hide pain behind art. Broadway called through a play named Pearly. Night after night, Sherman commanded the stage with a force that seemed to spring from the depths of his life experience. That's when Norman Lear saw him. The legendary TV producer knew immediately that man was George Jefferson. But Sherman resisted. Television felt like a betrayal of his theatrical dreams. And here, the story takes an impossible turn. Norman Lear did something nobody did in Hollywood. He waited. For an entire year, he kept the role open, like someone saving a special gift for the right person. Think about that. In an industry that destroys careers in seconds, a producer waited 365 days for one man. When Sherman finally slipped into George Jefferson's skin, he discovered something terrifying. The character was everything he wasn't. George was cruel, selfish. He yelled at the wife he loved. Sherman Hemsley was the complete opposite. Isabelle Sanford, who played Louise, saw the suffering in his eyes. She nicknamed him Neck, affectionately, a small gesture that revealed how, despite all the walls, Sherman allowed some people to get close. There were magical moments. When Sherman accidentally called Isabelle Wheezy during filming, it wasn't in the script. It was genuine affection leaking through the performance. That moment became television history. Isabelle Sanford carried her own devastating secrets. Born in New York, she dreamed of being an actress since childhood, but her mother brutally discouraged her, considering the profession unsuitable for a black woman. Isabelle pursued the dream in secret, performing in local clubs and at the legendary Apollo Theater, hiding her passion as if it was shameful. She worked as a key punch operator during the day, supporting herself financially while feeding a flame that everyone around her tried to extinguish. Her Broadway debut came late, but it arrived through The in Corner, followed by a small but crucial role in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, a brave film about racial relations. When she finally landed the role of Louise Jefferson, Isabelle was 58 years old, an age when most would think about slowing down. But for her, life was just beginning. She brought fierce dignity to Wheezy, becoming the voice of reason amid George's chaos. Her performance broke historic barriers, making her the first black actress to win an Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a comedy series, a milestone that echoed far beyond television. Sherman called her the Queen, and the entire cast agreed. Her friendship with Sherman transcended fiction, a genuine connection between two souls who understood the weight of carrying dreams for so long. Isabelle died in 2004 at 86, leaving a legacy of perseverance that would inspire generations. Marla Gibbs lived a double life that seemed straight out of a movie. By day, she was a reservations agent for United Airlines in Chicago, helping people plan trips across the country. By night, she transformed into television's most sarcastic maid. For 2 full years, she maintained both jobs simultaneously. Imagine the surreal transition: morning dealing with flight cancellations and irritated passengers, afternoon arguing with George Jefferson in Hollywood studios. Marla wasn't just any airline employee. She was known for her dedication and professionalism, traits she brought to Florence Johnston. When she arrived on the Jeffersons set, Florence was supposed to appear in only a few episodes, but Marla's natural charisma and ability to counter George with sharp intelligence immediately won over audiences. The writers realized they had a star on their hands and made Florence a regular character. But Marla was much more than an actress. She was a born entrepreneur. In the 80s, she opened her own jazz club in Los Angeles, Marla's Memory Lane Jazz and Supper Club, which she managed for nearly 2 decades. This wasn't a hobby or casual investment. It was her genuine passion for jazz music and entrepreneurial vision materializing. She also recorded albums as a singer, revealing a voice few knew. After the Jeffersons, she got her own spin-off, Checking, and later starred in 227. Where she not only acted but also produced and sang the opening theme. Marla remains active today, a force of nature who transformed talent into empire. She received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, well-deserved, recognition for a career that redefined what it means to be a complete artist. Roxy Roker carried a secret that made her perfect for television's most controversial role of the 1970s. In real life, she was married to Cy Kravitz, a white man and television producer of Russian Jewish origin. Their son was none other than Lenny Kravitz, who would grow up to become a rock legend. When Norman Lear hesitated about including an interracial couple in The Jeffersons, fearing conservative audience reaction, Roxy simply showed him a photograph of her real family. That image spoke louder than any argument or market research. She proved these families existed, loved, and deserved representation on television. Born in Miami and educated at prestigious Howard University, Roxy was already a respected theater actress before television. She was part of the Negro Ensemble Company, the same group that formed Sherman, proving how crucial this organization was for black artists of the era. She had been nominated for a Tony Award for her theatrical work, establishing solid artistic credentials before Helen Willis. Her interracial marriage wasn't just progressive for the time's standards, it was potentially dangerous. They faced hostile stares, cruel comments, and even threats, but Roxy and Cy built a strong family, raising Lenny in an environment of love that transcended the racial barriers society tried to impose. On screen, Helen Willis was elegant and patient, navigating George Jefferson's prejudices with grace and dignity. Roxy brought authenticity to this role because she lived this reality daily. She intimately understood the challenges of an interracial relationship because she faced them at home. After the Jeffersons, Roxy dedicated herself to child activism, being honored by the Los Angeles City Council for her work with underprivileged children. She died in 1995 from breast cancer, but her legacy continues through Lenny Kravitz and the barriers she helped break on television. Franklin Cover, who played Tom Willis, the white husband in television's first regular interracial couple, brought a quiet dignity that perfectly balanced Roxy's elegance. Born in Ohio, Franklin was an experienced theater actor who had worked extensively on Broadway before coming to television. His theatrical career was respected, having acted in important productions and developed a reputation for absolute professionalism. When he accepted the role of Tom Willis, Franklin knew he was entering controversial territory. A white man married to a black woman on 1970s television was revolutionary and risky. He could have refused, choosing safer roles, but Franklin believed in the message's importance. His interpretation of Tom was subtle but powerful. He never dramatized the racial difference in his marriage, treated Helen with genuine love, and faced George Jefferson's prejudices with patience and dignity. It was this naturalness that made the Willis couple credible and impactful. Franklin wasn't just an actor. He was a silent activist, using his art to normalize interracial love at a time when it was still taboo in many American states. After the Jeffersons, he continued acting in television and film, appearing in well-known movies like Wall Street. His post-Jeffersons career proved his versatility as an actor, not limiting himself to the role that made him famous. Franklin died in 2006, leaving a legacy of artistic and social courage. Together with Roxy, he was part of a quiet revolution in American television, proving that love knows no color and that art can be a powerful instrument of social change. But Sherman carried truths that went far beyond his reserved personality. While George Jefferson flaunted wealth and pursued women, Sherman lived a completely different life. He was deeply spiritual. He loved music with a passion few knew, even releasing his own R&B album, pouring his real soul into melodies most fans would never hear. He never married, never had children. In an era when family meant everything in show business, Sherman chose solitude. And there was something else, something Hollywood whispered about but never said out loud. Sherman Hemsley was gay. In the 70s and 80s, this wasn't just personal. It was career-threatening, especially for a black man playing such a masculine character on national television. Close people knew, the industry knew, but Sherman kept this truth locked away, simultaneously protecting his career and his vulnerability. He chose silence over authenticity, anonymity over pride. When the Jeffersons ended in 1985, Sherman didn't chase fame. He seemed to exhale, like someone who had held their breath for 11 years. He returned to his music, made occasional appearances with Isabelle Sanford, their friendship enduring through time. They appeared in commercials, still playing George and Louise, their chemistry as natural as breathing. But mostly, Sherman disappeared. He lived simply, quietly, far from the bright lights that had made him famous. Sherman Hemsley died in 2012. Alone in his El Paso home. Even in death, his privacy continued to haunt him. A legal battle erupted over his will. He had left everything to a friend, but strangers emerged claiming to be long-lost relatives. For months, his body remained unburied while lawyers fought over his estate. It was a surreal and sad ending for a man who had brought such joy to millions. The fights revealed how isolated Sherman had become. How few people truly knew the man behind George Jefferson. Sherman Hemsley spent over a decade making America laugh while fighting silent battles alone. He gave us George Jefferson, a character so bold he became a cultural icon, but the real Sherman remained hidden, protecting his authentic self behind layers of privacy and professional performance. He broke barriers on television while building walls in real life. He made millions of people feel less alone while living in profound solitude. The man who played television's loudest character was, in reality, one of Hollywood's quietest souls. They made us laugh, but cried alone away from the spotlight. They brought joy to homes across America while navigating their own private storms. Sherman Hemsley moved on up to television history, but the price he paid, the secrets he carried, the authentic life he sacrificed, reminds us that sometimes our greatest entertainers are also our most hidden treasures. Sherman Hemsley gave us laughter, but he kept his tears to himself.